This chapter is not your final chapter. I know it feels heavy right now. I know there are pages in your story you wish you could rewrite, moments you don't understand, prayers that seem unanswered, losses that still hurt, questions that remain unresolved. But don't mistake this chapter for the entire story, because I am still writing. God says some of you have been staring at the current chapter for so long that you've started believing it defines your future. You've convinced yourself that this struggle is permanent, that this disappointment is the ending, that this setback is the conclusion. But child, this chapter is not your final chapter. Every great story has difficult chapters, chapters filled with waiting, chapters filled with challenges. Yet nobody judges the entire story by one chapter. Why are you doing that with your life? Why are you deciding the ending before I've finished writing it? Why are you calling it over when I'm still working? I know you've been discouraged. You've looked at your circumstances and thought, this isn't where I expected to be. This isn't how I thought things would turn out. This isn't the life I imagined. But just because the story looks different than expected doesn't mean it's ruined. Sometimes the most beautiful parts of the story begin after the chapter you wanted to avoid. God says, think about all the people who nearly gave up before everything changed. Think about the breakthroughs that arrived after moments of despair. If they had stopped in the middle of the story, they would have missed the ending I was preparing. Don't stop in the middle of yours, because what feels like an ending may actually be a transition. What feels like a closed door may actually be a redirection. What feels like failure may actually be preparation. You see the current page. I see the entire book. You see today's struggle. I see tomorrow's purpose. You see the obstacle. I see the growth it's creating. God says, that's why you can trust me when you don't understand. Because I am writing a story larger than the chapter you're living in right now. Some chapters are for learning. Some are for healing. Some are for growing. Some are for waiting. And some are for beginning again. Don't become so focused on the pain of this chapter that you miss the possibility of the next one. Don't let disappointment convince you that nothing good is ahead. Don't let fear convince you that your best days are behind you, because they aren't. There are still pages you haven't read, blessings you haven't seen, people you haven't met, doors you haven't walked through, moments you haven't experienced. Your story still has hope. It still has purpose. It still has promise. And most importantly, it still has me. I have not finished what I started in your life. I have not abandoned your future. I have not forgotten your prayers. I have not closed the book. Keep turning the page. Keep trusting. Keep believing. Keep moving forward. Because this chapter may be difficult, but it is not the ending. It is not the conclusion. It is not your final chapter. The story is still being written, and the author is still at work. If you believe God is still writing your story, type, "My story isn't over," in the comments. If this message reminded you not to give up on your story, consider sending a super thanks. Your support helps us continue sharing faith-filled messages with people who feel discouraged, lost, or ready to quit. Together, we're reminding the world that God is still writing new chapters.